Howdy, my name's Jeff. Welcome to my channel. I'm an expat from the United States and have moved to the south of France. I live in a small city called Perpignan. It's very south of France, on the southern side of France, in the Pyrenees Oriental department, and it's very close to the border of Spain. So it's only a 2-hour train ride to get to Barcelona. It's I think a 3 or 4 hour train ride, might be a 3 or 4 hour train ride to get to Marseille. It's maybe a 2.5 hour train ride to get to Toulouse. So, lots of accessibility to some other major cities. And certainly for flying back to the United States, going in and out of Barcelona is pretty simple and straightforward. So, in any case, welcome to my channel. This is my first video. I had actually recorded the video beforehand, and then when I went to look at it for editing, which I'm not going to do that much editing with this. It's not, it's not that important. I noticed I had something on my lip the whole time, and for some reason I didn't see it on the camera. So when I was going through the edit, I'm like, I can't put that. I know hardly anybody's going to watch this. I know that they say that the first 50 videos that you do for your channel, nobody watches, nobody cares. So, but I was looking at that the whole time. I'm like, what do you got on your mouth? It's like, so in any case, I'm trying to watch that to make sure that, I don't have that same problem again. So in any case, like I said, I moved here last year. It would have been in May 1st is when I arrived in France. It was supposed to be a week beforehand, but thanks to UPS deciding to misplace my health certificate for my pet cat somewhere in Atlanta, and I was leaving from Atlanta, somewhere in Atlanta the day before I was going to be taken off. I had to completely reschedule my flight, and dealing with getting a pet on the flight and all that sort of. She's a 7-pound cat, so I mean, it certainly wasn't anything huge to deal with, but you have to make sure that there's space available in the cabin and yada yada. And I had to extend the hotel. I had to redo the veterinary certificate, which is a kind of an oddly arcane system for bringing a pet, and probably anywhere, but into the EU. And I'm sure they have to do it for any place you go, whether it's Asia, Australia, wherever you go. But particularly since you have to have it within 10 days prior to your departure, and the veterinarian, you go to the vet's office, they check them out, they check the pet out and all that sort of thing, and they electronically send everything off to the USDA or whoever, I think that's the organization that approves it. And then, but it has to be a USDA approved veterinarian who signs off on the certificate, and then that's what's sent to, sent back to me, and that's what I bring so I can get through passport control and all that with my cat. And but in any case, I'll make another video about how that process went. But I'll tell you, it's very arcane for you pay all this money to have this stuff taken care of, and some random vet somewhere in the United States. It's not even in Atlanta. It's not, the first one was, I think, out of Massachusetts, and but they signed off on the document, sent it off, and then UPS at the facility in Atlanta decided that they were going to not be able to find it in time. So I think it was like 2 weeks later it arrived at my house there in Atlanta. It's like, okay, well, not very useful. And then plus I had to go to the expense of redoing it, and then they FedExed it to the hotel that I was staying at, and I got it like the day before I was going to take off. So it worked out. It worked out. But in any case, I landed May 1st, and then just started this journey of a new life here in France. And I will say that I guess I was more inclined to start doing this channel just because a lot of the YouTube channels that I watch, and there's a lot of them. I do a lot of YouTube consumption. That it's a lot of people who are doing like a digital nomad existence, or they're doing the Shenzhen Shuffle, where they'll go to France or Italy or Spain or somewhere, Portugal or whatever type thing, and be there for the 90 days, and then go to some non-Shenzhen area for 90 days. Maybe it's Asia. excuse me, maybe it's Asia, maybe it's back to, the UK, maybe it's in the UK, maybe it's back to the United States, whatever it is type thing. And then they'll go back again and they'll go from town to town and show you like, okay, well, here's a grocery store and here's this town center and here's this and the people are super nice. And it's like, well, you're not really, you're not really living there. I mean, there's slow travel. There's some slow travel channels where they're there maybe for, they're there for 3 months, but they're like in a city for in a place for 3 months. And that's a little bit better to kind of show what it's like. But it's not often that people talk about, actual living there, where it's like, okay, I'm going to, I need to, what's my access to grocery stores? What's my access? How do I do a pharmacy? How do I get prescriptions? How do I, go to doctors? How do I, especially as we get older, it's like, there's a lot of maintenance that goes on, type thing. And so it's like, okay. And I'm not going to profess to know anything about how to deal with families and kids and all that sort of thing. That's not my, that's not my bailiwick. I'm a single person in my 60s and, I had 7 or 8 years of French back in high school, and I took French in college as well, like business French and all that. But that was 45 years ago, so it's not it's like 40 plus years ago. So it's not like oh, je parle français, mais blah 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 blah. No, I un petit peu. Je parle français un petit peu. And so I can understand people talking to me usually. I can usually read things better than I can speak it. And but now, of course, they've got all these translation apps, so that helps out a lot. But honestly, if you are planning wherever you're moving to, whether it's France, Spain, Portugal, but whatever country is starting to kind of float your boat, learn some of the language. I mean, you're going to have to just to make everyday existence kind of easier, type thing. And as far as what I've encountered with the French so far is, I mean, everybody's been so kind, so nice. Well, let's not say everybody. It's not, that's a bit of a hyperbole, but it's, certainly a vast majority of the people have been very kind and very helpful it's been good. It's been good. I had my primary reasons for looking to move was, one, I'd spent quite a few years kind of taking care of my parents through their end of life cycles, and I would do it again. There's no complaints about that, but it just was like, okay, that took a lot of that took a lot out, type thing. It's like that was. And neither of them had particularly pleasant end of life cycles. My father had Parkinson's for 17 years, although never once complained about it, never once just always up for whatever studies were available, things like that. But it's still not a great end of life. And and my mother had chronic pain that was brought on primarily because of her being stubborn about making sure that she would help him get up and do all these, even though we had people that would help and all that sort of thing. But nonetheless, both of them had relatively poor end of life cycle experiences type thing. So we'll put it that way. And so as I was getting older, it's like, I don't know that, I want to at least try this, and see what it's like. And so I sold everything, gave away things, sold everything, whatever. Well, I shouldn't say really selling. It was really primarily giving away things to family and friends and neighbors and whoever was interested in the stuff. Was just a matter of like, I didn't want to bring any furniture. I didn't want to bring any of that stuff because you never know how it's going to fit. And then we go spend all that money on shipping it. And I didn't want my car. I didn't want any of that stuff. So it's like just kind of purge everything, which was remarkably freeing because it's like I realized like I don't really need all that stuff. It's not that important to me. So I kept things that obviously were important to me. If it was going to be family memorabilia and some, photos and some other ephemera and things like that are important. And of course, like documents that I need for wills and yada yada. But but really, for the most part, it was, and I got rid of so much of my just clothes I wasn't going to wear. I don't need suits and ties. I don't need any of that stuff. And so what you're going to see on the videos typically, by the way, before people want to make comments about this, is that I probably have at least 5 of these, kind of dark blue t-shirt sort of things. And it's kind of my uniform that I wear. And so you're going to see it a lot. You're going to see these a lot. And actually, it's not the same shirt, and it's not, and I do laundry. So before we have any comments about, do you have any other shirts other than that? It's like, I do, but I primarily have these. So in any case, my primary motivation for actually making the move was the cost of living in the United States and healthcare. I did have a bout with cancer when I was in my early 50s, and through 47 radiation treatments and 2 chemo treatments, and it's all in remission. And I will have it, but it's in remission right now. And so at some point it may come back, but it makes me unable to just get regular health insurance. And so if, with the political environment that's going on now, if they get rid of the Affordable Care Act, insurance for me would be completely unattainable. I mean, it would be, I think the quote that I had one time for a personal policy, having had cancer, was like $4,000 a month with like a $20,000 deductible. And it's like, who can afford that? Who can afford that? And so now here, I just got onto the French healthcare system, which I should have done that earlier on, but the initial apartment that I had, I really did not like it all. It was not good for me. It was a 4th floor walk up, which in the US would be the 5th floor. There was no lift. It just was in a noisy area and convenient for the bus schedules, but not great for just wanting to exist. And no air conditioning, no anything like that. So now, where I am now, and I hope the light's still doing all right here, is that I'm living in a townhouse, which essentially in the U.S. would be considered a townhouse, and but it has this nice back area here, which is a deck area, and on a video I'll do a house tour type thing, but it's maybe 1,200 square feet. It's like 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, but very open plan. The family who owned it, or who still owns it, my landlords, they renovated it probably 2 or 3 years ago. So a lot of the stuff looks practically brand new in here. So, but in any case, it has a garage, which is great for storage and things like that. But and it's convenient to a bus stop. And so, for the first time in 45 years, if I'm doing my maths correctly, but in like 45 years, I haven't had a car. I haven't had a car since I got here, and I have to say, I don't miss it. Would I love to have a car and the convenience of being able to go to the grocery store and do a kind of a big shop if I needed to and all that? Or, if I wanted to go to a store and buy something that was bigger and deal with trying to get it back? Absolutely. Has that been a hindrance to me? No. No, it has not. It's as a matter of fact, it's less of an expense. I don't, and of course, as we know, in everywhere else other than the United States, gas is very expensive. And so, fueling the vehicle, insurance, all that type of maintenance and all that, it costs a lot. So I don't have that. I take the bus. I've got a year pass for the bus. Here in Perpignan, it's 245 euros for the yearly pass. And of course, that can go up or down, I suspect, every year type thing. So once I hit 65, it drops to like 90 euros for the yearly pass. So soon I'll be able to get the discount rate on that capability. But but for 245 euros a year, it's like unlimited travel on the bus. It's like that's okay. That's okay. So, but I'm going to do videos of like, how do you live here? What are, how do you do a pharmacy? How do you get prescriptions? How do you get a doctor? How do you, kind of the important things that are going on. So, especially as we get older, it's like doctors, prescriptions, what do you do to get around? How's it using the trains? What's going on with using the bus system? All that sort of thing. I'm going to go over in different videos, and I'll show you how they're done. And some of the things are very simple, and some of the things are just a little bit more like a kind of a slight twist to what we deal with in the United States. So like the grocery stores and the different size stores that they're here, and because there are, and probably like every major city in the United States, I mean, they're going to have like bodegas or things like that are going to be smaller places that don't have the huge selection of things, and probably the biggest culture shock here, at least initially, is like doing laundry. It's like they have washing machines, but dryers are very rare. Now this place has a dryer. It's not a great dryer. But honestly, especially in the summertime, you put the laundry. I mean, this is a real throwback to like in the 60s and 70s, but up until like the 60s and 70s in the United States. You buy these laundry racks, the drying racks, and you put your laundry out, and it just dries naturally. And of course, that's because utilities here are expensive as well. So it's not, you can get a dryer, but that's going to run you quite a bit of money for utilities to run it and all that sort of thing. So, it's very much more environmentally conscious to do it the way with drying. The drawback is, like, especially with towels, is that they get a little crunchy. And so, I haven't figured out yet how to make them not crunchy. But if fabric softeners helped. But typically, and they're not that bad. I mean, they open up and all that. But it's not the same as being in the United States where you just throw your loads in the washing machine. Once it's done, you throw it in the dryer, pull it out, flap it up. It's all good, fluffy, ready to go, type thing. So, but do I miss the dryer? No, not really. If you needed to, and like, oh my God, I've got something to go to tonight or whatever type thing, and this is the only thing that, I can wear, but it's dirty, that sort of thing. But they have laundromats, so you can go, do that. So I've just seen videos of people, typically the ones, especially the ones that get on to like CNN and all that sort of thing, where it's like, I tried it for a year or I tried it for 2 years and it just wasn't for me. I didn't like it. The produce is bad, or whatever other kind of excuse they have with it. And it's like, I just wish people would be really honest about it. I mean, you're in France. What bad produce do you have? It's not, practically everything's organic, and it's, it may not be the beautiful, perfect stuff that you might see in Whole Foods, but it's perfectly fine. It's not like it's damaged. It's not like it's so I don't know. I mean, the food quality here is just beyond belief with the things, and the pricing really has been very reasonable. And supposedly, what I've been told by people is that Spain's even less expensive. So a lot of people, if they're doing a large grocery haul, will go to Spain to do it from here. And but I don't have any real need for certainly don't have a need for a large grocery haul. So. But in any case, the whole point of this is that I want to showcase the villages that are nearby. How does one get around, especially if you don't have a car? And what are the processes you go through as an expat? For like dealing with immigration and people go on about the bureaucracy and all of it. But honestly, you just have to be patient, just have to be patient with it. And yeah, there's some things that happen where, even when I was doing the initial for the carte vitale to get into the French healthcare system, I'd submitted some documents that weren't the ones they were expecting, but nothing was rejected. It just, you wait for snail mail and you get the notice and they tell you what you're missing. you just you submit some more stuff. And so it hasn't been this, like, oh my God, pull my hair out sort of thing, but it also nothing's been fast. so but again, I've never been an immigrant, so I don't know, even for the United States, I don't know if it's a problem there where, people just, when they immigrate to the U.S., is it, the same sort of problem? I'm sorry, I'm just checking to see. I hear my cat meowing at me, but I think she's inside. I'm in a 3-season room right now that's here. But in any case, hopefully y'all are interested in joining me on this journey. New life in France. So far I've been here for like 10 months, and I love it. So far it's been great. I don't have any real complaints. It's not, there's things that aren't the same, but that's okay. I'm not trying to buck the system here. So, but the people have been super friendly. Met some really nice people. Met some some English speakers. But just trying to get along, and my journey of learning French, kind of relearning French, and just improving all of that. And I hope y'all will join me in this as we kind of go along. But anyway, thanks so much. I don't know that anybody's going to be watching this video, but this is my first one, and I'm going to be trying to get these things out at least once a week. So until the next one, au revoir.